All right, I'm here in Redmond with Ori Amiga. Ori, what are you going to show us today?
Hey Todd, we're sitting actually in the MeshMobile, which is a version of my car essentially that's connected to the mesh all the time. And the idea was I really wanted to bring some of the mesh goodness, the concept of synchronization, anywhere access, and all that great benefit I get from using live mesh on my PCs, my mobile phones, my Macs, my media centers. I wanted to bring that goodness to the car since I spend a lot of time in it. We'll describe the hardware in a second, but let's take a look. Actually, what we have here is a 7-inch touchscreen display connected to a computer that runs live mesh. It has 3G access. It has through GSM. It has Wi-Fi, satellite, array microphone, nav, everything you want. One thing I get is, of course, one thing I always wanted is the ability to have all my music always available to me no matter where I am. So anytime I add a piece of music anywhere, my media center, my PC, my Zune, like the music gets synchronized over here. If I make a tweak in a playlist based on a recommendation from a friend, it's automatically in the car next time I'm there. Very easy to navigate against my music collection, videos, playlists. We have integrated nav support, so we can always tell sort of where we are, but we can also save locations, save those to the mesh. The car reports its location as it's driving around, and so if I want to share that with my friends, they can always see where I am. I can see where I am, and I'll show you that on the phone in a sec. We have phone integration support, so it synchronizes, my contact, my address book. We have web support, of course, so you can browse the web. Not that you should be doing that while you're driving, but you can browse the web, and nice thing about that, so all my favorites, anytime I find, a new favorite, for example, let's see, like I can look at traffic reports while I'm driving. These are all synchronizing with my IE browser favorites on my PC.
Now, what was that knob you just used there?
This knob, so, if you want to use a touchscreen display, that's great, or you can use voice control. You can talk to the car and navigate that way, but this way, when I'm driving, as I'm shifting, I can actually control it very, very easily without ever reaching over to the display. Makes it easy to nav up and down, click through, which is great. I love driving with my hand on the stick shift. I don't like moving it up there. That's why we have a control knob. Other things we do which are pretty nifty, like the whole idea was to sort of integrate mesh very seamlessly into the car, and so a lot of this is standard UI that comes with the interface we're using, and a lot of the mesh magic happens in the background. The syncing of GPS coordinates, the syncing of favorites, the syncing of music, sharing. So for example, I'll show you on my phone, like if we actually go over to I'll show you a set of collections I have. If I go look at the MeshMobile location, might take a second, through that, essentially as the MeshMobile drives around, it puts these GPS turrets, these little micro GPS coordinates into the mesh that get synchronized to all the devices, and then you can go pick those up anywhere. Let's say we're going to pick them up on the phone and overlay sort of mapping data. Oh, looks like we're having some challenges finding that specific.
Technology's never easy.
Yeah, technology is never. Oh, I know why. Hold on a second. I'll fix that while we continue to talk. So
for people who aren't really familiar with mesh, what you're essentially doing here is synchronizing your data and your contacts and your music all from your computers and an online service down to your car.
Exactly, and back up to the cloud. Yeah. The big part of the mesh is really being sort of that bi-directional, constant data exchange between all the devices. It doesn't have to be one way. So that's really pretty neat. And again, I think a big part of the mesh is naturally integrating it into existing environments. So, you want it to naturally integrate into Media Center or PC or Mac or mobile. Here we go. So now if you look on my mobile phone, if we switch, we are currently at Microsoft Red West C. And if we click on a map, in a few seconds, it's going to pick up our location and it's going to start rendering it on a map coming from Virtual Earth. There we are. We can navigate so you can see where we are on the phone. Even though the two are not, naturally connected, that are connected through the mesh,
right?
Which is pretty neat.
So this is basically a demonstration that you've created. I mean, long term, could you imagine a bunch of MeshMobiles running around?
I mean, I hope so. I hope somebody takes it and productizes it. But again, it's. I hope developers, third-party developers, come up with all sorts of really creative ideas, and whatever device is their favorite, whether it's cameras or phones or media centers or digital picture frames or cars or wherever you have a CPU and access to the internet, network connectivity, you should think about how do you mesh enable or meshify your digital lifestyle in sort of a way that really kind of makes sense to you. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the reasons we build these prototypes, to generate that kind of excitement for people.
No, this is no ordinary computing device. What kind of car is this?
We're sitting in a bit of a classic. It's a 96 Porsche 911 Turbo. One of my favorite all-time cars. And you know, one of the work we did, of course, was to also integrate this console very naturally into the car, which was a lot of work. So it kind of feels and looks like it's almost factory. Which, of course, you know, there was no space for anything over his tiny car. But a lot of work.
Well, Ori, thanks very much.
Fabulous. Thanks very much, Todd.
All right.